Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and I'm here today to do my June wrap-up. Obviously, you know the drill. When I have glasses on, too lazy to put on makeup. I am in so much pain today. I had my friend's wedding this past weekend, danced too much, drank too much, and here we are suffering truly on a Monday. So June was a bit of a letdown for me. I experienced like a bit of a reading slump, so I didn't read as much books as I wanted to. But before we get into the reviews of the books, I do want to talk about some statistics that I have because I love talking about statistics. I know people like listening to statistics, so here we go. So in the month of June, I read 11 books in total, and that came out to 4,178 pages, and that's about 139 pages per day. So while I did still feel like I was experiencing a reading slump, I was still going over 100 pages per day, which is my usual page goal. So I'm really happy about that. I also listened to 54 hours of audiobooks, and that can be both on their own or like a combined reading with physical. In regards to the star ratings, I did read 2 5-star books, which is still amazing. So I'm so happy about that. 2 4-star books, 6 3-star books, 1 2-star book, and 0 1-star books, which averages out to about 3.63 stars. So again, not the best, not the worst, definitely in the middle, and I'm really happy about that. In regards to the author identities, I did read from 6 female authors, 4 male authors, and 1 author who identifies as non-binary. 7 of the books I read from were adult, 3 of them were YA, and 1 was middle grade. And then just in regards to the format, we had 5 audiobooks, 2 ebooks, and 7 physical books. I did read some books for specific content. So the books that put me in the reading slump, the romance books, I read Take a Hint, Danny Brown, Beach Read, First Comes Like, and The Love Hypothesis. So I will leave a link up above to that video where you can watch my reactions and how I felt about these books. And also, like with every month, I did read 1 Percy Jackson book. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, me and my friend Honani host the Percy Jacksalong, where we read 1 book from the series per month. This month we read The Battle of the Labyrinth, so if you would like to know how I feel about that, I did a vlog for it, which I will leave up above as well. So now let's get into the books that I will actually be reviewing. The first of which is A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. This book is kind of a semi-autobiographical novel that follows a boy named Stephen. Stephen is living during a turbulent time in 19th century Ireland, and the novel really goes into the strict religious household that he comes from and his search for like artistic freedom. This is another book where I'm completely in the middle of how I feel about it. I think Joyce really has some of the most beautiful prose that I have read in a long time, and I do feel like it was pretty modern for the time at which it was written in 1916. I really loved the discussions and the conflicts that our main character Stephen had. I think the examination of Stephen moving from a more religious background into a more artistic one was an interesting discussion, but that being said, I found this entire Bildungsroman to be really difficult to read. There are pages and pages of like religious sermon, and while yes, it did shape our main character and probably a younger version of James Joyce, I found it to be really difficult to get into. There were many moments where I started to question the point of things that were included and why they were there in regards to the overall narrative. I did not really find myself caring about Stephen's growth, and I do think that that's the main downfall of the book, because like it's a Bildungsroman. We should be caring about the roman that is building of this character. Because of that, the book becomes kind of a chore to read, and that's how I felt about it. I ended up giving this 3 stars, but to be quite frank, I barely remember it. I only started remembering some of it because I am wrapping it up for you. So 3 stars, nothing special to me. A book that was very special to me was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I absolutely adored this. This book follows an orc named Viv who, after years of like traveling the roads and being like this swift buckling warrior, she decides to settle down in a town and open up her own coffee shop. Old enemies start to resurface, and Viv is kind of tasked with trying to deal with that while running a successful business and like learning who she truly is. I did not know what to expect when I was going into this book. I just knew that people were really adoring it, and when my friend Ness asked me to buddy read with them, I was like, yes, I've heard excellent things. Let's get into it. What I found was truly, utmostly, the most happiest book I have ever read. Everything in this book was simply fun. And whenever I would pick up the book, I would have just a smile on my face. The story centers around Viv, who is so incredibly strong and kind. And like, I would love to be wrapped up in her strong work arms, if you know what I'm saying. Her relationships with the people that helped her start her cafe was adorable and sweet and perfect, and do not get me started on Thimble. Is he on this cover? No, but an absolute angel, an absolute love of my life. Despite the warmth that comes from the novel, I think the story really appealed to my overall love for the fantasy genre. I love the idea of different people coming together and working together as a group and forming a kind of found family. I literally, I have nothing negative to say about this book at all. It was absolutely perfect. I'm eagerly waiting for anything Travis Baldree will be publishing next, because I think that these types of slice of life fantasy novels are needed. I think they are a breath of fresh air in the genre. Absolutely love this. Gave it 5 stars. One of my favorite reads of the year for sure. After that, I read a pretty disappointing book. I read Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. This was an arc that I received from the publisher, so thank you very much. So the pitch for this book is a discovery of witches meets the craft, and I should have known when a discovery of witches was mentioned that this would be my downfall. But it basically follows 4 young girls, Helena, Leonie, Niam, and Elle. They took an oath to join Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is this coven that's established by the government to work together with witches to kind of handle political upheaval and whatnot. And at one point in time, they had a civil war, so they are still kind of dealing with that and adjusting to their new lives. What ends up happening is that there is a young warlock who has extraordinary capabilities, and they are worried that this warlock will become the Leviathan and destroy the witches from within. So I just want to say honestly that I did not enjoy this book at all. But what I did enjoy is the political message behind the novel and the direct fuck you to Turf K. Rowling, and that was interesting enough to warrant the book more than 1 star. But unfortunately, I hated the writing style, and I just couldn't get into this book at all. I knew from roughly 5 to 10 pages in that this just wasn't going to be the book for me. This writing style wasn't going to be the writing style for me. But I wanted to push through because the premise sounded interesting enough, and I knew about this political background of the story, so I really did want to enjoy this. But like I said, Dawson just has a writing style that I just do not jive with. Also, I'm sure this was intentional, but also the novel was just so campy and cliche. The amount of millennial references and nods to the Spice Girls, I was just rolling my eyes. I did, like I said, absolutely adore the growth of Theo and how she herself becomes her own person and becomes a crucial aspect to the novel. She was probably the only character I liked, the only character that I was rooting for, and everyone else was just so freaking boring. I am really sad that I didn't enjoy this novel because, like I said, I really loved Theo's growth. I really loved them as a character. I loved Theo's journey with her identity and the conversation that the novel's having about the trans community's rights. So hopefully I can read more from Juno Dawson in the future, because I think she is a voice to be reckoned with in the YA space. But yeah, this just wasn't the book for me. I unfortunately ended up giving this 2 stars. Like I said, looking forward to reading from Juno Dawson in the future, but I'm gonna be more weary about it. After that, I buddy read I Kissed Shower Wheeler by Casey McQuiston with my friend Jenny over at Jenny Reads Maybe. I will leave a link down below to their channel. But I was very excited for this book. This is the story of 3 people who kind of come together after the popular girl Shower Wheeler kisses them and then disappears. So the novel kind of surrounds this mystery of them looking for Shower Wheeler and understanding why she disappeared, why she kissed all 3 of them, and what's her purpose for leaving. So I enjoyed this so much. The main and biggest reason why I really enjoyed this was the fun little mystery of the disappearance of Shower Wheeler. I found it to be really light and charming and just a fun book. Did the mystery and the reasons for it absolutely make sense? No. But I think it was kind of fun to suspend my disbelief and just be taken along for a ride. Where I think that this novel particularly shines is with its characters, both the main characters and the side characters. They are all living within a very conservative and religious town. And while I do not or have not ever lived in a town such as this, I do understand the reluctance and fear of being a part of the LGBTQ+ community within this type of ideology. I come from a very Roman Catholic traditionalist background, so I understand that feeling, and especially at that age. I really enjoyed the characters starting to come to terms with the fact of their identities and exploring different backgrounds, and it was really refreshing and nice to read. Like I said, the overall mystery was fun to read because the clues and following along with that was really exciting and fun. And while I did kind kind of guess what Shara's motivations were behind disappearing and leaving these clues. I still found the ending and the overall chase to be really cute. I understood Shara as a character and I really enjoyed how this ended, so I ended up giving this a 4 stars. After that, I read another arc for Hell Followed With Us by Andrew Joseph White. So this was a really interesting story about a post-apocalyptic world where a 16-year-old trans boy named Benji is on a run from a cult that raised him and turned him into kind of this like religious weapon. The cult is a fundamentalist sect that unleashed Armageddon and decimated the world's population. And he is kind of the only thing to like control the Armageddon and the monsters that have arisen from this. So like I said, really enjoyed this. White's writing was absolutely breathtaking. I was really engaged with the book and surprised that this was a debut author. I am amazed and jealous by his sheer talent, quite frankly. From the first page, I was absolutely hooked by the premise, which was why I was able to get through it so quickly because it was so interesting. I was enamored by our character Benji, but primarily the world at which he was born into and grew up in. If you know me, I love religious cults. Not that I would join one, not that I would start one, but I think as a premise, as an idea, they are really interesting. And White does not hold back with this fundamentalist cult. I think they were super fascinating and I would read an entire book on the backstory of this cult. The novel has amazing diversity that varies between sexualities, cultures, beliefs, and I found it to be handled wonderfully. I personally love when horror is intertwined with Christianity, and creating these puritanical ideologies felt so real and scary in this book, and I really like that. White did a fantastic job describing the more bloody and gory elements of his story. However, even though I think White did a really excellent job with descriptions within the novel, I still think the world was left a little confusing. Like I said, I would have loved to read an entire backstory about the cult, and I wish that more world building was done to really place us within the novel. And I think would have needed more exploring for me to absolutely love this book. This was truly unlike anything I have ever read, and I just wish I had more. I will 100% be picking up anything White publishes in the future. I cannot believe that this book came out of someone's brain. I really liked it. I gave it a 3.5 stars. I think it was absolutely solid. And finally, the last book I finished in the month of June was Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. If you watched my May wrap up, you will know that I finished the first book in this duology, and this is the finale. I read both of these books for my friend Lucy's book club, Why Haven't I Read This Yet? So I will also leave a link down below to her channel. We will be doing a discussion on this novel, so I'll just go quickly into my thoughts so I don't spoil anything for the live show. But the story of this is really just a retelling of Romeo and Juliet in 1920s Shanghai, as this virus is released and it's kind of creating these monsters. But my feelings for this are similar to my feelings for These Violent Delights. Overall, I am kind of conflicted with my feelings for the novel. The Romeo and Juliet retelling aspect of the books I really like. I think it's absolutely top tier. I love the romance in this book, but I really do have a problem with the pacing in both books in this duology, and I think she kind of rushes her endings with a really long beginning. I gave both of the books in the series 3.5 stars, but if you would like to know more on my thoughts, I will leave a link down below to the live show whenever it is posted. So that's it. Those are all of the books I read in the month of June. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Did you like them? Did you hate them? I would like to know. Let me know how you feel. How many times am I going to say that? But if you would like to follow me on any of my other social medias, I do leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. And because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It does wonders for my channel. You guys know it makes me feel really good, so thank you so much. And I don't know how to end these things, so I will see you next time. Okay, bye!